Welcome back to Herbenstyle, a dichotomy of inspiration from cupboard to closet. Today we're going to be making gluten-free pot pies. Okay, so this recipe is something that I'm excited about. I say I'm excited about all of my recipes, but this one specifically because this is like back to school, fall semester, elementary school, when my mom would literally buy pot pie from the grocery store. So those were frozen, however, they were still so good. And I always would just wait for that hour just to taste that great taste. So honestly, I'm super excited about this because I wanted to try and make it for myself. First, I made some chicken versions. I also made some vegetarian versions as well, but the most important thing is that it's gluten-free. So yes, you heard it here, it's top 8 free. So let's get up into this recipe. For the full recipe, check the description box down below. So let's get started cooking. Okay, so I started by heating up the pan with some vegan butter, and then I followed up by sauteing some diced white onion, and then I wanted to lightly saute it, so I added some garlic as well. We're not cooking it all the way down, just pulling out the flavors. And then I follow up by chopping up some carrots as well as some celery. You can dice them up into smaller bite-sized pieces to allow it to cook better and more evenly, but I like the large chunks. Then I followed up by peeling and dicing up some potatoes, and then here you'll see I'm mixing some vegetable broth as well as some arrowroot together, and this is going to help with thickening the filling. So I follow up with after I mix this up, I follow up by adding some milk, and then I simply season with pepper as well as thyme and salt. And this is really simple seasoning because everything just comes together so nicely and it doesn't need too much else regarding seasoning. But at this point, I took out about half of the filling to make vegetarian options, and then I followed up with some cooked shredded chicken, and then so I can make some chicken pot pies as well. So 2 different options, but I did want to consider vegetarian options. If you haven't checked out my latest apple pie recipe, this is actually the same crust. So what I did here is simply rolled it out as such, and then I took some large cookie cutters and cut around to fit the bowls that I'm using to make the individual pot pie. So these are ramekins, and I'm going to take one cutout of the crust dough and then mold it as best as I can, and then I'm going to fill it up. So as you'll see is I'm going to fill up with the vegetable filling, the vegan filling, as well as following up with the chicken filling. So as you can see, I've topped off my pot pies, and I'm going to take the second half of the pie crust and mold my individual pot pies. So you can use a fork, you can use your fingers, but you can just decorate it as you like and poke a couple of holes so they don't bust open on the top of the pot pie. Why don't y'all tell me about the frozen peas? It's okay. Put the frozen peas when you make the recipe, okay? Hey, pass the peas like we used to do. Hey, pass the peas like we used to do. Okay. Don't forget the peas like me. So after about 50 minutes at 400 degrees, this is what you get. Okay, so these are my gluten-free pot pies. For the full recipe, be sure to check herbenstyle.com. So let's get into this taste test. These look so good, and honestly, it's wonderful because the crust looks perfect. It's bubbling over, as you can see. So it's super exciting just to see how this tastes and turns out. If you have not checked out my last video, my apple pie, it was the same crust, and we just substituted and we took out the sugar, but it was the same crust. So like I said, you can use this crust recipe for savory as well as sweet recipes. So let's hop into this taste test. So the shredded chicken, so this is the crust. I just want you all to know that this is good. And I'm glad I overloaded the chicken. I'm not ashamed. Look at the steam. Look at the steam. Look at the steam, okay? Look at it. Oh my gosh. This is good. This is great. This is perfect, quick and easy, family friendly, honestly. Take some time, make some dough, fresh pie crust dough, and get into this. Perfect for nice, warm fall, transitioning into winter recipe. When it's cold outside, make this. And you can always put it in a large pan, but if you want the individual pot pies, definitely be sure to check out this recipe at Herbenstyle.com. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for joining Herbenstyle, and always be sure to own your style. Bye. We're not going back to the frozen food section. We are not going back.